One heart beats strong, a human soul, and Estolian glorious deed, faithful mount for souls deep need. Two minds entwined, a single aim, igniting life's eternal flame. This sacred, lasting, shared bonding. So
I have often wondered if individuals who lived during the so-called Dark Ages felt as if the title was appropriate. Did those who lived in the Golden Age feel as blessed as the name implies? Throughout history, I am certain there have been individuals, townships, and even nations for whom such titles would have been the opposite of how they saw themselves. As one who lived through the tipping point years, I still find myself wondering what name I would give to my own time. Those were, to be sure, some of the darkest years for humanity, yet all the same, they held some of my most glorious memories as well. Harmon Zakarian, Personal Journal.
If you will proceed to the center, I will bring a few of our horses to you.
Justice said. After he left the building, Darin smiled at her and asked,
You mentioned that you are trying to obtain a grant. Can you tell me something about it?
Self-consciousness prickled under her skin. Her mother always dismissed her research as a waste of time.
I've been studying the history of the Mediterranean, particularly the region west of mainland Italy, Sardinia, Corsica, and the Balearic Islands. It has fascinated me since I was a child when one of the neighbors told me about his childhood on Minorca. I studied history in college and was considered something of a child prodigy. When I started working toward my master's degree, I knew I wanted to specialize in that area.
You seem quite young to have your bachelor's degree already,
He observed. She shrugged.
My mother thinks I'm so fascinated by the past that one day I'll turn around and find I'm 50 years old with nothing to show for living my life.
She sighed at the remembered censure.
Anyway, one of the things I noticed while doing my research is that there's an island that only appears on older maps, and even then, rarely. Often, it's omitted altogether. It's called Pequeño on some maps and Estolia on others. What's strange is that when I tried to zoom in on the island using Google Earth, the map refused to resolve the image stayed fuzzy, as if the satellite blur were deliberate. When I inquired, they told me the authorities in Estolia had refused to authorize more detailed imagery.
You actually contacted Google and got a response?
He asked.
Oh yes.
She said.
It's an extraordinarily fascinating place, worth the effort to contact Google. I learned that despite several heated conflicts involving neighboring islands, it appears Estolia has never been involved in any of them. It's like it's invisible. It's almost impossible to find out anything about it. During my investigation, I discovered a man named Quincy Lucellis Amador, who lived in San Francisco in 1906 and was injured in the earthquake. He was extremely wealthy for the era and decided to fund investigations into Estolia's peculiarities. He put nearly all of his money into a special account and tasked a British law firm with overseeing the fund and dispersing grants to anyone willing to meet his conditions. At the time, it was worth $200,000. He was, as I understand it, a brilliant man, a genius even, who understood the legal workings of both Great Britain and the United States. He made certain that if the first law firm went out of business, another would be brought on, and so on. They are actually paid a £20 retainer each year. They're obligated to oversee the grant until they disperse it.
And getting an Estolian is part of the conditions of the grant?
He asked. She had done it again. She had a tendency to dive into the minutiae of any question asked, rather than focus on the surface details. A strange wrench of disquiet twisted inside her. She did not want this man to think she was boring, and it was probably too late to change his perception. She nodded and focused her attention on her answer, trying to be as brief as possible.
They seemed anxious for me to meet the conditions of the grant, but there are other conditions besides the horse.
Like what?
He asked. She took a deep breath, reviewing the conditions and reminding herself to stay brief.
They said I must obtain a visa to visit Estolia, be granted permission to stay in the palace during my visit, and use no other transport while in Estolia other than the Estolian I acquire. If I can meet those requirements, the grant will be mine.
All that, just for a $200,000 grant?
He asked.
It hardly seems worth it, given the price of even the least expensive Estolians.
Mary grinned. forgetting her earlier fears of chasing him off.
It was that much in the beginning. It's accrued quite a lot of interest since then. I don't know the exact amount, but as far as I can tell, it should be somewhere around 5 million American dollars.
He whistled.
And you need $5 million to do your research?
It's expensive to live in Mallorca or Ibiza. I couldn't find any information on the cost of living in Estolia, but if it's comparable to the other islands, I'll likely need every penny, especially if I have to support a horse.
One of the larger doors into the covered arena was pushed open, silhouetting the squat outline of Justice Albans leading a horse against the bright morning sky. Once he stepped out of the bright rectangle of light, she had a better chance to look at the Estolian he was leading towards where she and Darin were speaking. The horse was a beautiful reddish-brown with 4 white socks all the way up to his knees. When Justice was followed by several others leading horses into the arena, Mary felt the heat of embarrassed color flooding her face. These people were going to a lot of trouble, and they did not even think it likely they would be able to help her. By the time the final horse was led into the arena, 6 stood waiting, their ears pricked and eyes bright with curiosity. Only one seemed restless, a nearly pure black animal marked by a broad blaze of white that ran askew down his face, like a white hat tipped over one eye. Like the first horse, he had 4 white socks that stood out vividly against his dark coat. As she approached the line of horses, he grew more agitated, kicking up a fuss. She stopped and looked from the black horse to the others. As soon as she halted, the black horse calmed down. His only noise was when she looked his way, and it sounded to her as if he was encouraging her to select him. Deciding, she said to Darin,
I really want to look at the black one first.
As if he understood English, the horse immediately grew quieter, ears pricked forward, offering short, encouraging whinnies. As she approached, the man holding his halter stepped away. When she touched his thick neck, she knew this was the horse she was meant to have. As if reading her mind, he stepped closer and pressed his head gently against her chest. His low, throaty whickers sounded like gratitude, a quiet promise to be good. One eye, in the patch of white, was blue, the other brownish-black. She didn't look at the other horses or at the people in the arena.
I know this one is right for me,
she said. Justice directed the others to take their horses and leave the arena. He turned to her.
It appears Kamchatka likes you. The horse chooses the rider.
Keeping her gaze on the stallion, she asked,
How do we know for certain?
Darin answered,
We will put you up on him.
She wasn't very tall, and the height of his back nearly met her eyes. Her pulse quickened as she remembered how restless he'd been.
One of the reasons these horses are so sought after is that they are a dream to ride, even for a raw novice, if the horse likes the rider. He likes you.
Darin said,
So you have nothing to worry about.
Justice unclipped the lead rope from the stallion's halter and suggested,
Let us go to the stable and get a saddle.
She walked with the 2 men, the horse following close behind. Once they reached the stable, Justice handed her a lightweight sheepskin pad. For the next several minutes, she followed Darin's instructions as he guided her through saddling the horse and fitting the bridle. Finally, the stallion was ready. Darin stepped beside her.
I will help you mount.
In a single motion, she was in the saddle. The horse snorted, then gave a soft neigh. She wasn't sure her interpretation was correct, but she thought he seemed happy. Justice returned, leading 2 other horses, both saddled. She watched as both men mounted effortlessly, and soon they were back in the indoor arena. The next half-hour was a revelation for her. Her mother had never cared for animals, and Mary had never owned a pet. Yet she did not think of the powerful stallion as a pet. He was a living creature who loved her.
Deity guided you here to bond with Kamchatka.
Justice said. He nodded sharply.
I sincerely hope you have the means to purchase him.
How much is he?
She asked.
In American dollars, his price is set at $62,500.
Justice said, his tone matter-of-fact. His diction was precise, each word deliberate, before he added almost regretfully,
And if you do not purchase him, we will have him put down.
Horrified, she stared at Justice. The cost of the stallion had already stunned her, but the idea that they might destroy him was unthinkable.
You wouldn't.
She whispered. Darin dismounted and approached where she was standing in front of Kamchatka. He clarified,
And Estolian horses, the best ones, are devoted to one, and only one person.
He cast a look at Justice that she could not interpret, before continuing.
Having demonstrated that most desirable trait, Kamchatka will not be put down. He would likely be put to stud.
Darin then looked at her, adding,
However, it is entirely possible that, having met you, he will pine for you and go off his feed and die if you do not keep him.
If I can obtain the necessary permissions, I will be given the grant and as a result be able to purchase him.
Permissions for what?
Justice asked, not having been present when she explained the details of the grant to Darin.
To visit Estolia, to stay in the palace,
She said blithely. Once more she saw a look pass between the two men. Darin said,
I will make a call and ask a favour. In the meantime, it does not make sense for you to remain at your hotel. Will you be our guest here at the ranch?
I wouldn't want to impose.
she said. Justice was firm as he responded.
You would not be imposing. You have mentioned you require riding lessons. For $80,000, you will be paying for lessons, the horse, and the transport to Estolia, which Darin will secure for you. Can I infer that you must put together a proposal to obtain the money?
She nodded.
I will need to do so. They want an update as soon as I've made progress. I am uncertain of the timeline for obtaining the grant.
Justice smiled at her.
No matter, for 10% of the total quoted, we will consider it a deal. If you do not obtain the grant, then I do have a few strings I could pull to try to find a situation for both you and Kamchatka. We will put the horse back in his paddock together, and then Darin will take you back to your hotel so you can pack up your belongings and come out here.